Hey guys, welcome back to another segment of Andrew Upshaw Fishing, and we're finally doing it. We're finally hitting the tip video series. You know, I get a lot of questions about what do I do in my off time. You know, like right now is kind of what you consider my off time. I'm away from the tournament scene because there's no tournaments really. I mean, there's some small local tournaments, things like that. But I get a lot of questions about what do you do during that time to prepare to make yourself better, or organize tackle, or fix things. So today I have a really special thing. I'm going to get my dad involved. We're going to talk to you about how to repair your fishing rod when you break off guides. We can all act like our rods don't break. We can all act like our guides don't break off, but that would be a lie. But in the meantime, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's right there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And I'm going to get over to my dad and we're going to show you exactly how to quick fix your rod guides to make them usable, make them work, so you don't have any guides missing and your line slapping on your rod. So make sure you stay tuned right after this. Here we are. We're gonna fix a few rods just for you guys. And let's just go ahead and point out, this is what happens sometimes. You see the guides missing? Got a few guides here. Oh, we got two missing. You know, and that can be from a variety of different things. It can be from damaging it by putting it in your rod sock, or putting it into your rod locker or something like that, accidentally stepping on them. If you use a fishing rod, 9 times out of 10, you're going to break that fishing rod at some point. Whether it's a guide, the handle, the tip of the rod, whatever it may be, you're going to have some accidents. Today, we're going to show you exactly how to remove the old glue and thread and put a new guide on there, and also give you a couple tips on how to get guides without actually having to buy new guides. So here's a little disclaimer real fast. So if you hold your lighter too close to your fishing pole and you let it sit there for too long, this is exactly what can happen. Yes, you can burn your rod in half if you let the direct flame sit on the rod. So you kind of want to use that lighter on the edge of that glue just to kind of catch it on fire, to scrape it off. And just so you know, a lot of times those guides, when they come out, they'll just break out or something like that, and you can actually slide a new guide in. If that's the case, it makes it really easy. If not, then you have to take the glue and the thread off. So just wanted to let you guys know, just so you don't burn your rods in half, and I get like 35 terrible messages about how you burned a rod in half. You know it right now. You know that if you hold that flame on that rod for too long, it will melt the rod in half. So don't do that, guys. So you know how I was talking about you have broken rods. You know, every year I break a handful of rods, and typically it's my fault. In case in point, this rod right here, look at this. I literally put my trolling motor down on the handle of this Custom Pro Spinner bait rod, and you know the thing is I didn't call Luz up and say, hey, I need a replacement for my rod. What I did is I called Luz up and I said, hey, I broke a rod, it was my fault, don't worry about sending it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it for extra guides. And what that means is that every year I break off a handful of guides, whether it's putting my rod in a rod locker, putting it in my truck, using it, stepping on it, you name it, I probably have done it. So what I do is I always get me 1 or 2 rods that I've broken every year, and I steal the guides off of them. So I actually have matching guides for rods that I use all the time. Case in point, one of the rods that I use all the time is a Magnum hammer, which happens to be this rod here, and we're going to replace a couple of guides on it, actually probably just one for the case of this video, and show you how my dad has taught me how to do it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer here. This is not a professional done job. This is a quick fix. This will get you going for a tournament, but I can promise you one thing. My dad's done this for my rods for as long as I can remember, and it's worked, and they hold well. Everything works exactly how it's supposed to. So, let's dive right on into this. He's already got the rod shaved and ready to rock. So let's go. If you look right here, he's already taken the guide off of the rod. This is the broken rod. Oh no, that's not the broken rod. Hold on a second.
I've cleaned it.
So he went ahead and cleaned up the rod that we're going to fix. That's a Magnum hammer. That's the rod that I throw my chatterbait on, my lipless crankbait like a red-eyed shad, my KVD spinner baits. That's what I throw a lot of moving baits on. I even throw my Rage Swimmers on a ball head with a really light line. That's a rod that I use all the time. You hear me talk about it all the time. And he's going to fix a couple of mine right now so we can show you how to do it and make it really fast and easy for you. So, first off, what he did is he's going to remove the guide. So he's going to cut the guide. Cut the epoxy. He's going to slice into the epoxy right here. You just got to get it started slightly. And then this is when the magic happens. He catches the epoxy and the thread on fire. All this does is it loosens the epoxy and the glue. And you're going to see it catch on fire here in just a second, just like that. And then he gets some pliers. He takes the guide off, which he just did. And then he gets a knife. And he kind of barely lightly shaves the glue and thread off. So when you actually light that epoxy and thread on, you want to make sure you get that thread and epoxy off really, really fast. You don't want to burn your rod, so you just make sure you get that fire off as fast as you can, and you just lightly shave that stuff off of there. Once you do that, this is what your rod is going to look like. It's going to be completely shaved and perfect. So you see, here's a guide, and this is the guide that you're replacing. So you can see exactly where you're going to put that new guide. And we're going to show you how to attach that guide and make it work exactly for you every time. As most of you know, I use super glue for basically anything and everything. I use the gel super glue. I'll drop it in the link in the description below so you know what it is. But this is basically what it is. It's just the gel super glue. You can get it pretty much anywhere and everywhere that you shop. The gel super glue though, I mean, it definitely works wonders. So the first thing that you do is you can line up your guides perfectly. So you want to make sure your rod is in a stable location, and you place that guide exactly where the other guide was, and you put a drop or two of super glue on the shank of the guide. Alright, now when you place the guide, you perfectly put it right where you feel like it is in line with the other guides. One trick is getting some electrical tape and putting it on the front side of the guide, so when you place it and you get it exactly where you want it to, after you put the glue on the back side, the super glue on the back side of the guide, you actually put the tape and wrap it around, and you got to let this hold for a few hours to make sure it dries completely. Once the guide is dried completely, that's when you take the tape off, and we're going to do the next step, which, like I said, this is a rough job. This is something that's going to hold. It's not going to be the prettiest guide in the world, but it absolutely will get the job done for you day in and day out. Alright, we're back now. We let the glue dry. We got the tape off. And my dad has already done like a preliminary wrap of thread over the top of the guide. As you can tell, there's quite a bit of string wrapped on there already. So what he does is he gets regular black thread, just like that. That's the thread he uses right there. I mean, it's all-purpose thread. It's nothing crazy. It's just black thread, okay? And he wraps it around his guide. And then this is where he's making sure that the guide is straight. As you can tell, the guide is straight. Then he gets this stuff right here. This is a 5-minute instant mix epoxy. Okay, so this, if you don't have one of those little round tables that roll your rod around, I know you've probably seen John Cox, Matt Steffen, some of those guys that build their own rods. You see them use little turntables and it turns their rod. They use a long setting epoxy, and what it does is they just keep turning their rods while they don't actually have to do it. Their little wheel thing turns it for them. But this is a quick way, like I said before, this is a quick way to fix your rod and make it usable. So, this is what we're going to do. You take the lid off the epoxy, like so. We always just use the container that it came in. As far as I remember, this is how my dad has done it forever. So you get the epoxy just like that. Alright, you can use just about anything to mix this epoxy together. You can use like he's using a screw here. You can use a toothpick, a nail, pretty much anything that's hard and it can mix it, a little stick, whatever it may be. And you mix it to where it's good and solid white, just like that. Alright, now here's where the fun starts. You actually get it and you apply it all around over the top of your thread, just like so. You want to make sure you cover the thread because ultimately the thread is what's going to hold the rod down. So you do really, you make sure you get it all around. Be a little generous with it. The only thing is you don't want to you don't want to put too much on top of each other, just because you don't want to create a big hump in it. But
and turning it keeps it from humping up.
And turning it keeps it from humping, on one side or the other, making it look uneven. And like I said before, this is going to be a custom job. This isn't going to be something that's going to look extremely professional. This is just going to get the job done, get you a guide put on, and get it fixed. So all my dad does is he sits there and spins it himself. And the thing is, this is 5-minute epoxy, so it does it pretty quick. He can fix that guide really, really fast, get it ready, get it going, and get it on the water quick. So like if you happen to break a guide off at the end of the day of a tournament, you can do this process and get it fixed by the next day of the event. It's super fast, super easy, and that's exactly what we need in this case. So here we go. He's spinning the rod, and it's almost already dry. You can tell it's starting to clear up, and that's when you know it's when it starts to lose that milky appearance. It starts to clear up a little bit, and that's when you know that epoxy is dry. And I'm going to show you the finished result here in just 2 seconds. One thing is, if you start seeing some bulges or some holes in it, you can get a lighter and kind of run it along the side of it. You don't ever want to touch the lighter or ignite the epoxy. You just want to put a little bit of heat by it, and as you can tell, it's evening out that epoxy considerably and making it look a little bit more even, make it look a little bit better. But in the case of what we're looking for here, we just need something quickly done, get it fixed, get it working, get back on the water. One thing about it, if you want to have it more even or make it look even better, one thing that you should do is get you one of those little turntables that turn the rod. They cost a little bit of money. You can make your own. I've seen some guys make some. But in the case of this video, we are looking for the quick fix. Something that we can get us back on the water fast. Don't care about the way it looks. We just need to work. And that's what we're talking about here. And that is the importance of that turntable, is it keeps that glue and everything, or the epoxy, very even. It doesn't let it bulge up. But 5-minute epoxy though, you can get this done pretty quickly. Actually, the longest process of this is actually super gluing the guide to the rod exactly where you want it. And in some cases, you can get super glue that dries extremely fast as well. It's kind of cold out here right now, so it's taking a little bit longer than usual to get this to dry. But overall, a very, very quick process. And there you have it, guys. There is the finished product right there. Like I said, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it gets the job done. It makes that rod usable. Thank you, Dad, for your help.
No problem.
You're always fixing my stuff. I'm always breaking something. Overall, guys, a quick fix makes me get back out on the water fast. Hopefully you like what you see. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you learned how to fix your rods when you get in a bind and you need that guide fixed now. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you at the next one.